following is the 655th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting of September 14th, 2017, taking place at 1110 West Washington Street, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007. Okay, let me know. Okay, we're on the record.
Welcome all to the 655th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting. Madam Secretary, you want to call the roll?
Thank you. Excuse me. Commissioner Garay?
Present.
Commissioner Heupel?
Present.
Commissioner Lawless?
Present.
Commissioner McClintock?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. All are present.
Yeah. Due to the anticipation of going into executive session several times today, I'm going to put items A, B, and C to the end and try and breeze through so people don't have to stay, but non-interested parties. So with that, new business, number one item is TP Racing LLP request to amend 2017-2018 race dates at Turf Paradise. Greg?
Yes, when the permittee submitted their application back in 2015, they also submitted their dates for the 3 years of their permit, which is the 2017-18 meet. On August 10th, we received a letter from Turf Paradise asking to amend their race dates, which will reduce the number of live race days to 132 down from 138. The dates in question are the live race days that are going to be dark days are now October 17th, 24th, April 11th, 18th, April 24th and 25th, and May 1st. They've asked to add the live race day of May 6th, which is the Sunday after the Kentucky Derby. So everything's in order, and we recommend the approval.
Do you have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Item number 2 is Turf Paradise request for new off-track betting facility, Corky's Pub, Sports Bar, and Lounge located at 2285 East Butler, Flagstaff. Greg?
Yes, earlier in the summer, Turf Paradise had requested that we put this on the agenda. We've looked at the facility. Last week I went up and inspected it. It's a nice sports bar. They've got adequate seating. The wagering facility will be in the, if I'm correct, southwest corner of the facility. We've talked to the owners of the facility. They are being licensed right now, as well as the general manager. They're going through the licensing process. Everything seems to be in compliance. Even the city of Flagstaff has approved the off-track betting facility, so they are in compliance with AACR 19-2-415, which is what we go by when we look at these approvals. So we would recommend approval. It does give the option to have once you approve that, a 5-day period in which they can get things ramped up. When I was there Friday, there was some TVs that still needed to be installed, and there was some satellite things that they needed to get done. But I'm sure, I was up there Friday of last week, so I'm sure by the time we give those 5 days that they'll be up and running. So I would recommend approval on this location.
Do you have a motion?
I move we approve Corky's Pub and Sports Bar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes.
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, information reports. Greg, you're back up.
I'm back up.
Turf safety report.
All right, I'm going to switch things up a little bit. I think it was July when we met, if I'm correct. Did we meet in July? I think so. We talked about a summer breakthrough project that we did, and I wanted to go over it a little bit more thoroughly with you guys. For those in the audience, there are copies on the table there. If you would like I don't have enough copies for everybody here, but this is a public document, so you can submit a public request and we can get it for you. This was a project that we took on, the division took on over the summer. And it centered on the horse fatalities at Turf Paradise and as well as Rito. There were a couple down at Rito. So if you go through, in season 16-17, we had, after 3 years of declining fatalities, we had a spike in the fatalities. And so we tracked those. We did a lot of research with it, talked to individuals. We had 44 race fatalities in the race meet in 16 and 17. If you go through, the majority of those were in the mornings and not in the afternoons. Okay. In fact, the NTRA and the Jockey Club tracks the evening race day fatalities during the race meets, and Turf Paradise was a little bit over the national average, but they weren't over significantly. I think there was one additional fatality during the season compared to the 15-16. But what was alarming was the morning fatalities. To give you an idea, in the race season 15-16, there were 9 fatalities in the morning, but in 16 and 17, there were 17. Now, we can debate all day long on the causes of those, and that's what we're doing. That's why we did this project, was to look at this and to say, we could say that it was an anomaly and it was just an off year, or we can look and see if there's a cause. So that's what we wanted to do with this project. So we even tracked the other fatalities in which we would deem colic, maybe an infectious disease. I know there was a hoof issue at one point, central nervous system issues, maybe a collapse on a horse, maybe a heart attack or something like that. So we tracked those in the other fatalities, which at Turf Paradise there were 15. So there was a total of 32 morning and other fatalities, which was a dramatic increase from the years before. And that would be, you can see that on page 5 of that report. And page 6 is the other fatalities. Page 7, as we noted, the trainers that had fatalities. And what that is any trainer that had 2 or more in a particular year, going all the way back from 13 to 14, and tracking those as well. We compared that with the number of starts per season, as well as the fatalities per 100 starts. Page 8, you'll see the Jockey Club's equine database, equine fatalities per 100 starts. That has been reduced with all racetracks across the country to 1.54 per 1,000 starts. Turf Paradise was at 1.67. You can see that they declined in 15-16. They were actually under the national average. And so those are some of the things that we looked at throughout the course of the summer. Page 9 is a correlation between starts of a horse within the same meet and throughout his career. We saw that there may be a correlation with that. Again, in 16-17, of those fatalities, the average start was 15.4 starts per horse. So we looked at that. The most important thing we did is we interviewed industry experts. They were jockeys, trainers, not only at Turf Paradise and across Arizona, but across state lines as well. We talked to people in California, New York, Kentucky, and asked them what they thought attributed to these injuries and catastrophic deaths. You can see just some of their comments, and I know I mentioned this in July, that an overwhelming majority of people that we talked to indicated that they did not think that the track surface at Turf Paradise was an issue. Many had high praise for the track and the maintenance on it. There were some that indicated that they thought it was too hard, but the overwhelming majority of interviews that we had indicated they didn't think it was the track. Page 10, you can see some of their thoughts on the reasons for the fatalities. And just to go over a couple of them, some of them felt the class of horses running at Turf Paradise was lower than other racetracks. Some of them avoided claim rule, which would take a rule change in our state. Will prevent unsound horses from being entered in claiming races. Some noted that there was inexperienced riders in the morning that may not be as experienced as they needed to even go ahead and switch the horse's lead around the turn. So some of them anticipate on that. Shockwave therapy came into play. They thought that shockwave therapy was rampant, and that's an issue we'll look at. So those are some of the insights that we did, and we interviewed several people. Page 11 is the countermeasures, which I want to talk to you about. These are suggestions of these people. Pre-race exams, blood work required for all lame vet horses, or all horses on the vet list for lameness. Random health inspections of sick and scratched horses by the state vet. That would be on the day of the race. If they scratched because they were sick, they would have somebody go out and look at it. Class 1 and 2 violations resulting into a 60-day vet list. Okay, that would be the horse. That would take a rule change in our state. You'll see other states have adopted that. New Mexico has done that. I think Pennsylvania has done that as well. And those are the most serious violations, the Class 1 and 2. Those are the meth, cocaine positives, and things like that. Other things like random night inspections by the state, and then further analysis in this project. All this came out of our summer work, and I'd like to thank a couple people that was instrumental in doing this. Andrew Hawks, who is the OCI manager at this Division of Racing, or Department of Gaming, certainly Director Casillas. Sharon Todd, who was one of our staff members out of Turf Paradise. Magdalena Perez also did a lot of input on this. And everybody that we talked to. Out of this came a protocol list that I gave you as well, and that's also on there, in which I've always viewed this as a partnership with Horseman, Turf Paradise, and everybody, that we had an opportunity to not push these catastrophic injuries to the back and say, you know what, we're going to do business as usual. So on August 28th, we met with Turf Paradise, the Arizona HBPA, and ourselves, and we came up with a new list of safety protocols that we will do during this race meet. The number one thing will be risk-based pre-race exams. And how that will work is there's a series of factors that we have taken in, and you see those 45 to 60-day gaps in training of a horse, maybe a first start after coming off the vet list for lameness, multiple starts within 60 days if a horse is starting 5 times in 60 days or things of that nature. What we'll do is we'll have the stewards go through each program, and off of this risk-based protocol, if there are one or more factors that they see, they will ask for a pre-race exam done by the track vet. Now we're going to pick in the morning 5 to 10 horses to be able to go out and look at them and do the pre-race exam. This is the first step of what I hope is many steps in making racing safer in Arizona. So this pre-race exam, risk-based, will help, hopefully, in preventing a horse that shouldn't be racing on that specific day. A trainer will be notified 24 to 48 hours that his horse has been selected, and then on the race day, we'll go ahead and have the track vet take a look at that horse and determine whether it should be racing that day.
Who pays for the exam?
The exam is part of the day's activities, so there isn't an extra exam cost on that end. Okay, there is a cost for the vets, but they're on site at the track that race day anyway. The major thing that is coming about this, and I have to thank the Turf Paradise management, is over the last few years we have been working on necropsies of all deceased catastrophic injuries. Turf Paradise management has agreed to fund this project, in which all catastrophic injuries, all deaths at Turf Paradise, as well as Rito, and we'll talk about Rito as well. They had 2. But at Turf Paradise for this season, Turf Paradise will pick up the cost of the necropsy for the deceased horse. We've worked with Midwestern University out in Glendale, and if you haven't had a chance to go out to that facility, I would encourage everybody to go out there. It's a fantastic vet program out there. They have agreed, as part of their research project and to help the students out in their vet school, to do the postmortem exam and to give us the results of what they've found. That's a major step forward, okay? And I thank Turf Paradise for putting that and being a part of that, and as well as the HBPA, because this will give us some information, some research on why these catastrophic injuries are happening, okay? Over time, we may be able to prevent some injuries. The protocol number 3 is done in other jurisdictions. It's an equine safety review committee in which after we get the necropsy results, we will sit down with the trainer, staff at the state, Turf Paradise, and we will go over that specific case, hopefully to learn more about it, okay? It's not an indictment about a trainer or anything. It's more of, let's talk about this and see what has come out of this and what have we learned, and to be able to continue to prevent these future fatalities. So that's part of the safety report and the protocols that I'm excited about. Again, I thank the HBPA, Turf Paradise, and certainly our employees at the state for doing that. I'll transition into the safety report for the September.
I got a question.
Sure.
Was age ever considered? Did you look at age on some of the deaths
Yes, we did.
as a factor?
Yes, we did. And I would say that if you have a horse that's 10 or 11 years old and is still competing, that may be a pretty sound horse.
And we put that 10-year rule in there.
That was one of the requests. Actually, the protocol request for Turf Paradise had indicated that they may
There's a
restrict
trend
the
that
age.
they're older horses.
I would argue that if you have a 10-year-old horse that is still continuing running, that he's a pretty sound animal to be.
Question 2, in the mornings, is there a vet on site in the mornings or no?
Yes, there typically is a track vet on site. There's certainly private vets on site. Our vet will be on site as well. That'll be the constant communication between not only the vet teams out there, but the outriders, even the clockers who said they've seen horses out there that shouldn't be running. It's going to be a constant communication effort on our part to look at the horse and say, hey, wait a minute, maybe that one should have some time off, okay? And that'll be a major communication effort between everybody to take a look at that.
Good. Because, I mean, obviously that seems to be where there are more horses having problems in the morning than in the afternoon.
You've been out there in the morning. I like in the morning and training, it's like traffic control. I mean, there's horses coming and going all the time. So preventing a horse from jogging that may be off may be tough, but certainly we can, in our minds, and jot down the name, or go back to that barn and look at that horse as well. So that's going to be a major effort this year as well.
Great work by the team there.
They've done a lot, and hopefully this will move forward. Past couple of weeks, we've done pre-race inspections of the facility out there. I mentioned in May that there was a roof leak in the state offices at Turf Paradise. They did repair the roof over the summer, and we saw that in the last safety report. But over the course of when we opened up the first week of September, staff did notice some ceiling tiles that may appear that there are continuing leaks. It could be a situation so those tiles were not replaced, but they noted there was water damaged tiles up there.
So what would be the air conditioning system too?
What we're going to do is constantly monitor that. I've spoken with Vince Francia on that as well. But we'll monitor that throughout the season. But the roof was replaced over the summer. General assessment in May, the HBPA, Turf Paradise staff and myself went through some of the barns. We noted that there was cleanup areas that needed to be done. When we went back in September, we've noted that there were other tack rooms and things that weren't clean over the summertime. We've noted those in some of the pictures here. We would like those to be cleaned, but however, horsemen have been back now for a week. Most likely those have been cleaned up by the horsemen. But over the summer, when we do this next year, we really need to have an effort to where, these things will be cleaned up a little bit sooner. And you can see some of the pictures. In the first week of September, I went out there and just looked at the debris and noted certain areas that just looked like it wasn't done over the summertime. Back in May, we talked about barns being painted and things of that nature. It appears that some barns were painted, others were not. Some barns, the north and south sides were painted, but the interior of the barns were not touched at all. I think going into the season, obviously now the horses that have returned, there's not much they're going to be able to do in painting-wise. But again, what I'd like to see, and I think as a monitor, is when these things are noted that they'll be painted, is that they'll be done in the summertime when the horses have not been there. As the horses are back now, and I think there's several trainers that are back there, it's a little bit more difficult to do the painting while the horsemen are back there. We noted roofing issues in barns. We were told by staff at Turf Paradise that the barn in A1 was the only barn that they noted that was leaking. However, we continue to go through other barns and note spots where we think there's leaks. As the season goes on and there's raining days, the staff will be going through those barns, shed rows, talking to trainers, and any type of leakage that we see in other barns, B row, C row, D row, we'll note and we'll ask those in the next to be repaired due to the severity of the leak, or be put down as maybe a project that they'll tackle later on. You'll see a picture of G row where the metal roof is in disrepair. That will need to be taken care of rather quickly. We'll go from there. Vegetations, there is a row of oleanders on the north side of the track. Those are always well maintained on that end, and they continue to be well maintained. They were cut back for the horses to enter. We noted that there are 87 dorm rooms throughout the backstretch in which trainers can reserve for their staff. Again, in May, we were told those were going to be cleaned. Several were not over the summertime. There was debris in several of the dorm rooms, mattresses, old dirty pairs of jeans, all kinds of stuff are back there. We would just ask that those be cleaned prior to the horsemen arriving. Again, trainers have come back right now. Their staffs are back, so those rooms are probably cleaned by the horsemen's staff. But it would be nice that they would come back to a clean dorm room. Drainage, potholes, we go through this every year. It's always an issue, okay? It's the dry season, so when it rains, potholes come up. I will tell you that last year Turf Paradise was very responsive on any request that we asked in potholes and patching. But it is a patch, okay? And it is a patch on a patch on a patch. And so further, we would like to see some type of, and we've talked about this in the past, about some type of solution to this. And there may not be, but there's continuing patching out there. Looked at the training track, no issues were noted. Starting gate, horse ambulance, all that will be inspected before the race meet, October 14th. We talked about the 5/8 gap, and that was a project that Turf Paradise was going to do over the summertime. When the gap is open, those railings hang loose, and it can cause an issue. They've taken care of that over the summer. You can see the before and after picture on that. Backside lighting, we will constantly be looking at that. We'll have staff out there first thing in the morning to see if the lighting is adequate. We'll have staff in the evening they'll look at once the lights come on to look. And again, anytime we've noted those light bulbs out, things like that, Turf has been very responsive to getting that done. There has been an issue this week, and I'm sure Mr. Francia will go into this. There was a power pole that was taken out by, I think, a truck this week. I know Vince will go into that. I did meet with Vince this morning, and it appears that has been taken care of rapidly. So those are just some of the things that we're going through, looking. It's part of our job every day at the track. When we see a potential hazard, we'll note it. Every staff member that's out there, whether it's an investigator, or licensed person, or anything, we will note, bring it to track's attention, and then go from there.
Thanks, Greg. Budget update, Director?
Yes, I have Lori Anderson present to give that update.
Okay.
Hello. For the budget, right now we look good. We've taken several preemptive steps and to make sure that we can live within the new appropriation that we've been given. We are better than I anticipated that we would be, and with Rudy's help, I think that for this it will be fine. We do not have a cash issue for this year, and we will do everything that we can to live within our appropriation. We are way under appropriation at this time. That's going to answer the specific questions.
No, that's good news, though.
Yes, it is. Very good
2
news.
months ago.
Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Okay. Yavapai Downs Business Plan Review. Oh,
Can I comment on the safety report?
sure.
For the record, Vincent Francia, General Manager of Turf Paradise. First to the deceased horse matter at Turf. Mr. Stiles has summarized everything wonderfully, but I do want to state publicly the gratitude that I have for Mr. Casillas, Mr. Stiles, and the rest of the ADOR staff that when I brought this to Mr. Stiles' attention in January, that I was noticing an alarming trend of breakdowns during workouts, and it resulted at the end of the meet with an increase with a spike. That everybody responded in the way any industry would hope regulators would, by bringing everybody together, identifying the problem. The ADOR IT or analysis gentleman even went into it more than I did, and all that information was incredibly helpful so that we could make recommendations to address this problem. So I would like to publicly thank the director for that. In regards to the list that Mr. Stiles just went over, some updates. The state licensing office, where the roof has been totally replaced. What we're waiting for really is a few raindrops to fall to see if we actually have a leak, or if it's something that from one of the EVAPs that was leaking to the air conditioning unit. On the second page of the barn issue, during the summer, the staff went through and cleaned all the dorms. Looking at this photo, it would tell me that they either missed one, or during the summer we did have a number of incidences with some of the destitute in the dorm rooms. Whatever the reason, they're being cleaned up right now. The painting of the barns, the big picture, I think that is C1 that's in the photo. That was my bad. Miscommunication between me and the staff that handles the painting of the barns every year. Now, what we do every year is paint the ends of each barn. We've never painted the interiors, and the reason why we don't is because the horses come in, the gates go on, and things like that. The painters are on site. I met with them at 5 o'clock this morning, and the barns that we missed are being painted. The roofing issue of A1, that's been a problematic barn, of course, of all the ones that we've been able to repair over the course of years. This one had its own particular issues, and it just reached a point last year. 2 bids. We have received 2 bids. One is going to be decided upon today. I've just been informed by the plant superintendent. and we will get A1 repaired, as we will do with the metal roofing on Road G. The rest of the items in here, I think that Mr. Stiles noted that the vegetation has been removed. Potholes is an ongoing problem. The asphalt companies have been in, and they will continue to be in. But the thing I need to update you about, because it's current, on Monday, one of our vendors struck one of the poles in the stable area. Now, we have many poles. Of all the poles that he could have struck, this was the worst because it's a hub, and the pole is the center not only for lighting and electric power, it's also the center for the public address system and communication between the north gate and everybody else on the property. What happened, the vendor's truck hit the wire and not only took down the pole and the wires, but these wires are attached to other poles, bending a pole which is noted in the report, which has been repaired this morning. The new pole, we got a new pole, that's been replaced, and where we are at now, the power for that area has been restored. We're waiting for wire to come in today to restore the public address and the communication system.
Thanks, Vince. Yavapai Downs, business plan review. Tom, are you going to speak on that? Wake up, Tom.
I'm Tom Author, J-Corp Partners, hopefully future owners of Yavapai Downs, the former Yavapai Downs. Yeah, we submitted the plan to everybody, and our challenge moving forward is the success of this project is all based upon OTB, how many we get open and how productive they are. And we have a little bit of a chicken and egg situation where, you're not approved yet, you're not licensed yet, but we need to get going quickly in order to get the money coming in quick enough to have the season and all that stuff. So all we're really trying to do, to the extent that you folks can, is get a thumbs up from you for the plan as soon as possible, with obviously the caveat that we need to get approved for a permit. And that gives us a little bit more confidence. The OTB location owner, the confidence to say, okay, you look like you're for real, we'll go ahead and start that. Ideally, we could set it up so these guys are signed up, ready to go. Once we get our permit, we build it out, and we're up and running. So, but I realize there's a lot of bureaucracy from now till then. So that's really was our reason for giving you guys that report, in hopes that you could say, yes, I guess, Greg, go full speed ahead on checking these guys out, and so that as quickly after close as possible, we could receive our permit and get it on.
I, for one, was impressed with the report. Rudy, what can we do at this point to give them some sort of assurance? Is there any preliminary subject to action?
Bottom line is that the commission has the authority to grant permits, okay? And to grant OTB prior to the entity receiving a permit is, a little unheard of. To grant them the authority to move forward and offer simulcast without being permitted. So I understand what Mr. Arthur wants to do to accomplish generating revenue early on. However, it's going to be in the commission's hands to make that determination if you want to be flexible there.
So today we can give them some sort of assurance that we're behind their plan?
That would be up to you to give that assurance if you think that it's appropriate.
What do you fellow commissioners think?
I
don't know if we have a vote on actionable item.
No, but we're just discussing it.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would ask them to get open OTBs prior to getting permitted. It's just the stronger our ultimate approval looks, the easier it's going to be to get a guy to sit down. Because it's quite an education process with these guys to give them an idea of, it's not just going to be a bunch of guys sitting around drinking iced tea. there's a financial benefit to you, and we've got that data, and I think we can make a pretty strong case. But again, the sooner the better. But I certainly understand we don't expect anybody to say go in and start looking at OTBs.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm just.
I was impressed with the business plan as well, but until we see the permit application and the review that they go through.
Could we go ahead with the permitting process then, or is it? Do you want to? It's
Without ownership.
before we own it.
I don't know.
How far off are you from?
Well, we're probably looking at about the 1st of November.
Is that closing it?
Closing it, yeah.
1st of November.
1st of November, probably, closing. So,
Is there a conditional permit subject to acquiring ownership that they can start? Greg? Or
I am not a
Rudy?
lawyer, so.
We'd have to look at it.
Yeah.
We would have, yeah.
I mean, there's a possibility that we can review the matter and give a recommendation to the commission.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's more or less what we're hoping we can be, so that when we do get, it would take some manpower, obviously, to start the process. But then, if and when everything comes together, Greg might be able to put in front of you folks to make a quicker decision because it's all prepared. And again, we don't want to cause anybody any heartburn here. So, but to the extent we can work something out, it would be helpful to us, I think, to Horseman too, to get up and running. Because as I said, it's a long pull to get an adequate number of these OTBs open to cover persons. And the deals are tough enough without having to cover the purses out of our pockets and raise our basis in the project, $2 or $3 million. So that's I guess our report. And maybe you guys want to kick it around a lot and sit there and stare at you. So
Let's find out what we can't do.
And then I could sit down with you later, or wait, or you want to wait till the next meeting, whatever you want to do. We're available.
Let me understand. The plan is to close the real estate.
Probably even prior to that. Right now, our closing date is October 22nd.
Okay.
So given that,
and you have it under contract.
Oh, yeah.
You have is hard money up yet?
hard money is supposed to go up the 22nd of this month.
This
is
month.
or 24th. That's all, week 10 days.
Right.
And that may or may not happen depending on a number of things. But I mean, we fully intend to close. We think the funding's good. We've slowed down a little bit. Our partner Corey Johnson. Today is the last day of their meet at Kentucky Downs, which incidentally I guess is better than unbelievable meet. They've been great. So and some of our people that are looking to throw in with us would like to sit down and chat with him, obviously, because he's the guy who's running this thing, really. So that's slowed us down a little bit, but we're fully anticipating closing this thing and as soon as we can, because the sooner we can close, the sooner we get this thing up and running.
When is our next meeting?
October 12th.
And then they close shortly after that.
Right.
Could we get something sent out to the commissioners on what we can and can't do?
Sure.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
And then, we may have to extend for a while, and I'll just make sure but we're not looking at kicking this thing into next year, and we want to get going as soon as we can. And I think
The goal is to open in the summer of 2018.
Absolutely. That's what we'd really like to do. I need to be a little careful, but we plan on having some meat in 18. A lot of that depends, even if we've got to reach in our pockets. But a lot of that is dependent on how these, we've got a pretty good plan, I think. We've met with the tribes. That's not exactly moving at breakneck pace, but we get the door slammed on us either. But things like that, if that and a couple of things were to come together, we'd have a real good kickstart on this thing.
Thanks, Tom. We should have some answers for you.
Thanks.
In October.
We're looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll keep going.
Okay,
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Mr. Chairman, may I ask the speaker a quick question?
Sure.
I could not hear your comments on how you contemplate running your OTB system.
Well, we're going to run it on our own. And it's going to be run by Corey, most likely. And we're just going to go out and try and cobble together a system. We don't have, at this point, we don't plan on hiring anybody, vending services, nothing like that. That could change this, but right now we don't.
You don't mind.
It's expensive, as you know.
When you and I already talked.
No, they can't.
Conversation
They
is
start
like
making
clear.
You have to tell them that they can't take action on
Your
this.
OTDs will be nowhere
Because
near
this
our.
is not even on the agenda.
Yeah, there would be a separate network.
No, but not the network.
Whether there's a rate clause, we'll have to talk to whether what we think is fair. I mean, like 10 miles obviously going to be too much. 500 feet is probably not enough.
But we did talk that you folks had offered that you weren't going to go near our OTDs.
Jerry, I know we offered that we wouldn't talk to your OTD people.
No, it was more than that.
It was okay. I mean, I have to check with Corey on that. But I don't think conceptually we have a real
It's all out of
problem.
order.
It's really a matter of degree.
Well, we did not discuss a distance, but we did talk, and Corey made it clear, you were on the call, and you weren't going to go near our OTDs.
I recall saying we won't deal with your OTVs. I don't remember a specific conversation about going near them.
It's
I'm not saying
inappropriate.
oh, but I don't recall.
Thanks, Tom.
But
You guys
talk it on the telephone.
Yeah.
But I'm in full support of year-round racing in Arizona.
Just somewhere cooler in the summer.
Yeah. All right, permittee reports not to exceed 3 minutes. American Greyhound Racing.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Brad Bryant, Operations Manager, American Greyhound Racing. Not a lot to report, just over the last couple of months since I took over, we've worked really hard to clean up our Apache Junction location. We have the Max's Sports Bar out in Glendale. We've worked really hard to put some money into these places, and we're going to continue to do that over the next several months to make the product look a little bit more inviting to people. Going to spend some money to get some signage out front. It's my impression that we kind of have an identity crisis too. That some of these locations, they don't know we're an OTB. They think we're just a sports bar. We don't have an OTB. So there's things in the works going forward. So it's not just going to be the status quo and any deterioration on our part. We're going to work hard to get the standards up where I expect them to be.
Great, thank
All right,
you.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
County fairs. Rito. I don't see Jay. Turf Paradise, Vince.
Re-identifying myself, Vincent Francia, GM of Turf Paradise. On September 12th, just 2 days ago, the horses began to arrive for the 62nd race meet at Turf. As of 6 o'clock this morning, there were 180 horses already on the grounds with the vans lined up to come in. To note, we have accepted clearance for 1,985 horses. That is a record number of horses that are coming in for 2,050 stalls. So it should be a pretty full stable area, which is as we like it. There's two reasons that are influencing that surge from the previous season. One is we have 7 trainers who have raced at Turf Paradise in years past, but they've been away from Turf. They are coming back. And we have 7 other trainers who have never been at Turf, and they are coming in for the very first time. And the two groups represent over 200 new horses on the grounds. We're scheduled, training begins Saturday, and we're scheduled to open on October 14th.
Great. Tucson Greyhound Park.
Alicia Heisner, General Manager, nothing to report.
Thank you. Optional Industry Stakeholder Association updates not to exceed 3 minutes. Arizona Counties Racing Association. Arizona Greyhound Association. Arizona Quarter Horse Racing Association. Nothing? Okay. Arizona Thoroughbred Breeders Association.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. HBPA.
Nothing to report this time, thank
Okay. J-Corps update. That's where I should have had you up.
Tom Author, again, I don't think we need to go ask you that, but I do have a question, and Greg, it may be best answer, maybe you may know best. It's our understanding that the Greyhound guys, Greyhound Park guys down in Tucson, that the end of their OTB is December 31st of 2018. After that date, they receive no income from OTB. Am I wrong on that?
You're talking the bubble, right, or the dome?
Right.
I'll have to review the legislation because I don't want to miss
Because it kind of plays into what we tell people in Pima County.
I'll review the legislation.
We should have an answer for you October 12th.
Perfect.
Okay.
I think that's it for us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
I'll have it sooner than that.
Jockeys Guild. Never have met anybody
One of
from
those
Jockeys Guild.
Whenever the horses are back, there should be a jockey guy.
Mr. Chairman, I will have someone from the Guild here at the October meeting so that you can actually
Lay eyes on a Jockeys Guild person?
Don't tease us.
Awesome, Vince.
Well, it's Don French.
Let's see, commission report, summary of current events affecting the Arizona Racing Commission. Rudy, anything? Okay. Identification of matters to be placed on future agendas. Call to the public. I notice it's Stacy and Mike, so I will wait till those items come up. The next regular meeting will be held on October 12th at 10 a.m. in this room. I'm going to go back to A, so anybody that isn't interested in the beginning of the agenda. Oh, I'm going to B. Feel free to leave, but I guess are we starting with executive session under B?
If you want to, I mean, we can do executive session last. We could do C first if you would prefer to do that.
Let's do C. Okay, number 1, notice of appeal to Arizona Racing Commission of Directors' interpretation and decision regarding conditional temporary license of Ronald A. Sims and supporting memoranda filed on June 12 by TP Racing and Jerry Sims. This says on August 30, the moving parties withdrew this notice.
Yes.
So is there anything to...
You can, I think all the parties are here, but we had, just as a reminder for this matter, we had set a briefing schedule that would have allowed the state, the Department of Gaming, and Ron Sims to file a response to this.
Let's take a temporary, not a break, but let's hold off until the room's, whoever's going is going.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure the record is clear and doesn't have the background noise in it. Thank you.
See you, Mike.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Camilla. Or if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, so they withdrew because the TP Racing LLP, Bell Racing LLC, and Jerry Sims withdrew their notice of appeal. The Department of Gaming and Ron Sims did not file any briefs on that. So you can just dismiss it if you want to.
Okay.
You could dismiss the notice of appeal.
Any comment, Mike or Stacy?
Mike Manning for TP Racing, no comment.
Okay.
We accept the dismissal.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Garay,
Aye.
Commissioner Lawless,
Aye.
Commissioner Heupel,
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock,
I had to be different, Jay.
Okay. Motion carries to dismiss.
Okay. Number 2, notice of appeal of department's July 19th decision deeming Ronald A. Sims license application to be incomplete, filed on August 1st by Ronald A. Sims.
So if I may, just address, so this was sent to all of you on August 1st, and it is different than the notice of appeal that I sent to you this Monday. They are related, but the notice of appeal that was sent this Monday is not on the agenda, so if we could refrain from having this discussion about both of them, I think that would be best. I know that counsel for Ron Sims and counsel for the Department of Gaming do want to address to item number C2 right now, and also in regarding the notice of appeal that was filed on Monday, that they want to address it in the public comment. So.
Okay. Stacy?
And I did talk to both of them prior to this meeting.
Okay.
So just so I'm clear, are we in call to the public then, or are we on this C2
We're
item?
on item 2, are we?
Yeah.
not?
Okay.
We are on item C2.
Okay, thank you. We do not have a microphone. You need to
Speak up, Stacy.
Stacy Harrison on behalf of Ronald A. Sims. With respect to item C2, the notice of appeal that is on your agenda, I've spoken with Joe Canefield, counsel for the department, and we propose that this matter be continued to the November 9th meeting for hearing, and that the parties to the appeal be allowed to brief the matter before the commission, such that all briefing will be submitted 2 weeks before the meeting on November 9th. And our proposal is that we do opening briefs on September 25th, response briefs on October 16th, and reply briefs on October 26th for hearing on November 9th on this appeal. In the alternative, we can also do simultaneous briefing 14 days before on October 26th if the commission is so inclined. There was a discussion with Ms. Alarcon regarding page limits. I think that we can agree. I haven't talked to Mr. Canefield about this, but I would propose if we do simultaneous briefing that we have 20 pages each to do our simultaneous briefing on this appeal. And Mr. Canefield is welcome to come up. In the public comment section, if I can use my time there, nope.
I think we
whatever you guys want. But
I think we have to. I'll go to the call to the public after this.
Then I'll talk about the other appeal filed in the public comment section.
Okay.
Good morning, members of the commission. Joe Kane from counsel for the department. I have nothing to add to what Ms. Harrison just informed you. We've spoken about this. We're happy to do a briefing schedule as Ms. Harrison proposed. We agreed to that. Or if the commission would prefer simultaneous briefing with a page limit 2 weeks prior, we're good with that also. We do agree November would be best for us to hear the merits.
Okay.
Can I have those dates again? September 25th.
I've got, I think September 25th would be the opening brief. October 16th would be the department's response. October 26th would be reply.
And then the hearing on November 9th.
Right. And November 9th is a regular scheduled meeting?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does this take a motion to approve the briefing schedule?
No, I don't think so. It's up to you guys. If you want to impose page limits on their briefs as well, you can certainly.
Well, I think if they voluntarily do it along the line Stacy said and Joe agreed to, just have them work with you and.
I just don't want to all of a sudden receive like we did last year, boxes of stuff
dormer and the racetrack won't have
We do ask that everything is submitted electronically because that is the way that it's transmitted to the commission.
That's fine.
I don't think that paper copies necessary, Cassie?
No, the division's going paperless, so.
Yeah, we can, you could always just send me stuff electronically as well. You don't need to send me paper copies.
Do we need to submit a paper copy to the commission?
Cassie said no.
No, we're going paperless, so we send it out to the commission members electronically, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I wanted to, I had one more thing to say. I forgot what it was, but it was with respect to well, it escaped me.
It's good to know that happens to young people. Happens to, I'm worried about it.
I'm glad Commissioner McClintock, you think I'm young.
Okay, Mike, unless you have something on C2.
No, I think we would defer until after Stacy's done. We were unaware of this new appeal, so I think she's going to talk about that. I may or may not have something to say for a minute and a half afterwards.
Okay. Moving on to call to the public. I know Stacy and Mike are both on there with respect to C1, I believe. Yeah. Wasn't it? That's what it says C1.
I thought that was what was on.
Yeah, but
Stacy Harrison again on behalf of Ronald A. Sims. My comment isn't actually to either C1 or C2.
Okay.
It will be to the notice of appeal that was filed on September 11th, 2017. That appeal relates to the item C2. It is also about the director's decision to deem Ron's 2017 license application incomplete. It is an appeal of the director's order regarding an appeal we made to the department. I request that the commission all put that agenda item, that appeal on the agenda for November 9th as well, because it's related to the first one. And in our briefing, we would request that those two appeals be consolidated so that you don't have to consider two appeals. You would consider one appeal with the same issues at the same time.
sounds good.
I do remember what I was going to ask you.
Okay.
To call back number C2 on the agenda and just move to continue it to November as agreed upon by the parties, and that could encompass the briefing schedule and so forth.
Okay, going back to C2. Can I get a motion to
move it to continue it to November 9th?
Right.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Garay,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless,
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel,
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock.
Aye.
The motion carries to move this matter onto the November 9th commission meeting agenda as a hearing with the briefing schedule as stated with the 20-page limit.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commission, back to the public. I just want to reiterate that we have talked with Ms. Harrison and Council for Ron Sims, and we were okay with the consolidation to briefings about the November meeting of the two
I'm
issues.
sorry. When is it possible?
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Did you miss it all?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It's sketchy.
Let me start over. Joe Canefield, Counsel for the Department. I just wanted to, in the public session period portion of this meeting, reiterate that we have spoken with Ms. Harrison and agree with the comments she offered to you a minute ago with respect to consolidating the two matters at the November meeting.
Okay.
So sorry.
Mike, you were down for comment?
Very briefly, we put a
I'm
public...
sorry, please identify yourself.
Michael Manning on behalf of TP Racing. We put a public records request in for the one appeal we knew about. We didn't know about the other one until this morning. We still haven't received those. We would just like the commission or the department to get us those documents. We're not parties to either appeal, but we sure would like to see what was said. And we're also a little concerned about that second appeal being past the 30 days, which you couldn't consolidate it if it's not timely, but we don't know. We haven't seen it. So we would just like to have copies of both appeals as soon as it's convenient to the department.
Thank you, Mike. Executive session. Okay, do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so it is.
Are we going into executive session for item number
One.
Oh, do we have to go in
Yes.
separately?
Yes, we do. Okay,
You told
it
me
is.
that, Cassie.
It is 11 a.m. We are breaking from open session and going into the first executive session.
Was it said in the motion that we were going into executive session for B1?
They-
I said so moved.
You said so
okay.
moved, so.
For B1?
Sure.
B1.
When they're not included.
Okay, just state the motion again, please.
Yeah. Thank you.
Commissioner Gray.
Move to go into executive session for item B1.
Second.
Thank
All
you.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it is now 11:01 and we are ending the first open session to go into our first executive session. Thank you. This is the second open session of the Arizona Racing Commission 655th Commission meeting held on September 14th. Okay, the time is 11:11 and we're going back into the second open session of this commission meeting. I'm going to do a roll call for the record. Commissioner Garay.
Present.
Commissioner Heupel.
Present.
Commissioner Lawless.
Here.
Commissioner McClintock.
Present.
Thank you. We are now back into the second open session.
Okay, the only two items left are B2, which is an executive session. Do I
I'm
have a
sorry,
motion?
can we make a clarification on B1? I know we went into the executive session, so we're basically done with that, just for my.
We're done with
Thank you.
B1.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry.
B2, can I have a motion?
Move to go into executive session for item B2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the time is 11:12 a.m. and we are ending the second open session and going into executive session. Thank you. This is the third open session of the Arizona Racing Commission 655th Commission meeting held on September 14th, 2017.
You ready? Okay.
Okay, the time is 11:25 and I'll do a quick roll call. Commissioner Garay.
Here.
Commissioner Heupel.
Here.
Commissioner Lawless.
Here.
Commissioner McClintock.
Here.
Thank you. We're all present. You may
Okay,
proceed.
I think we've gone through the entire agenda. We've deemed it unnecessary to go into executive session for B3 at this point. It was tangentially covered in B2, so with that, I think we're through the agenda. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
You got to call the public if you would. We've got a gentleman that wants to speak.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't see anybody on the list.
So I just signed up.
You signed up over there.
Come on. Name for the record.
Dr. Verlin Jones. I was asked to come here today by Mr. Francia about an issue that I'm involved in Iowa. I'm sure any of you have been in this industry as long as I had, probably read a few things on Pollock Report. And I'm currently in Iowa. I'm under investigation at the track there at Prairie Meadows. I was the track veterinarian here at Turf last year when they couldn't find anybody. I stepped up and helped them finish the meet here. They want me to come back and be the track veterinarian this year. I feel fairly certain that Mr. Stiles would like me to come back. So I'm going to have to apply for a license this year, and it's going to be investigated. It's probably going to come before the commission. So if anybody has any questions about Iowa, if they don't know the situation, I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Well, is that, it's still an ongoing investigation?
It's still ongoing. It's under an appeal, and I'm just waiting the outcome of it.
What was the issue? I do not know.
You can't. You can't.
Yeah. We'll wait for your
Yeah.
application and then we can fully discuss.
Sorry, they can't, you can't.
Okay.
You can talk to them and they can
Okay.
put things on the future agendas, but we can't have a dialogue.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, I
why
just
not?
wanted to introduce myself to the commissioners. Some of them I recognize. I don't think anybody really knows me. Been in the state for about 3 years. been working out of Rio Lido, covering the track for them unofficially. I'm the only veterinarian they have. During the week, I'll go out there and just sit while the track is open because I've been in this business a long time, and I realize somebody needs to be there. Some days I have things to do, most days I don't. It's just, as a track veterinarian, I always tell them, well, I was track veterinarian at Arapahoe Park in Colorado this summer. I always tell them, well, I'm going to the track, and I hope nobody needs me today. So,
Well, nice to meet you.
Yes,
We'll await your application.
Okay, thank you. Great, thank you.
Now, if you'd like to proceed with what you were doing before our call to the public, I don't think we have anybody else here. No? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 11:28 a.m. Thank you. A.m. Thank you. A.m. Thank you. A.m. Thank you. A.m. Thank you.